Sometimes doing this research seems ridiculous. I mean, I think there's so much more important things to discuss. But on the same note, does anything really matter? I mean, must it be so serious? Anything. Some people will convince you, or try, that things are very serious. But I don't know. This is something I've done. I've built an audience sharing this work, and I think it is what I'm supposed to do. Just one thing. Discussing and having good look at history. What they tell us versus what we see and can actually conclude with the facts that we have. I'm proud of thousands of people that are doing their part to reveal or shed light on so many falsities that have been pushed on us in the last 100 years. I think everybody is doing their part, and I think it's also important to think about the future. Like I've said, this life is a dream, and you can become conscious in your dream and not become a victim of it. You can shape this dream, and even if you don't have the means, you can begin shaping it in your mind, something you always have control over. So thank you for being here this week. I love you all. God bless, and welcome. So, this was inspired by Jared Boosters. Again, thank you. He made a video on Portland, Maine. Portland also exists in England. We have this Portland, Maine, and we also have Portland, Oregon. It is here they discovered the Portland cement, which I believe is just crushed up star forts repurposed into the cement. The history of Portland, Maine begins with Native Americans. Peninsula and surrounding areas was home to members of Algonquin-speaking Ocosisco people, a tribe that were forcibly relocated to current-day Canada during European settlement. So here we go again, similar to our recent exploration of Atlantic City, forcibly pushing a people out of this area. And they're giving us some really old history, going back to the 1600s. And I think there is a husk of truth in these stories. What is untrue is the dates, all happening much more recently, I believe, and the savage nature or primitive nature of the natives and Europeans. When we look at the photographic evidence, the old maps, and other archaeological leftovers, we see that everything was just as advanced as today, and even more impressive as far as durability of the building materials. And here we have these wars between the Native Americans, the British, the French. Here's a look at Fort Loyal in 1678, they tell us. And what do we see? A castle and a giant star fort. Okay. And here in 1690, Fort Casco. Again, another star fort. And the star fort is one of the most amazing and underappreciated architectural wonder in our historical narrative. When you examine just one star fort, begin to see how massive its walls are. So thick, millions of bricks per fort. And here in the 1600s, they tell us, some of the earliest foundational works left behind by an advanced civilization found worldwide. And this has always been the elephant in the room. Of course, the cathedrals, the Capitol buildings, being elephants as well. But these forts are completely downplayed by historians. And this is the beginning. This is the beginning of every history. A fort. So 1755, still battling French and Indian War. And then, after many fires, we have one in 1775, the community destroyed after 9 hours of bombardment in the Revolutionary War. So here we go, these guys destroying brick cities. These means Charles Cornwallis, 1738 to 1805. So, the French and Indian War, part of a wider, realm-wide conflict known as the 7-Year War, ended in 1763 with the Peace of Paris. I don't buy this. I don't buy these treaties in this time period. Nobody's sending letters back and forth across the ocean and traveling so freely by horse, as we're to believe, having these conquests. But nonetheless, they kicked the French out. New France, gone. And really, look how much history we get. If you get this much history and so much detail in this early time period, and then you get very little around 1850 when things really realistically should get rolling, it's a red flag. This is the beginning. So we're just starting the nation. Here we go. All these men and their shiny tights. And we're also kicking these Native Americans out. And then we have this city, in my opinion, already here. A great head start for a nation. Here, so proud, we have just arrived. And no talk of all of this architecture, all these bricks, even in this painting, they had no shame. This is the narrative, and everyone is so proud. Hooray, George. And this native down here is like, you bastard. So yeah, let's look at all of these buildings that just are here from day one, kicking the natives out, starting a nation, and leaving out where we got all these bricks. Where did all these bricks come from, George? So the Great Fire of 1866, July 4th. We're told that a great portion of this city burned on the 4th of July because they were lighting off fireworks, we're told. So they had fireworks. They were ordering fireworks from, the Chinese in 1866? I used to like fireworks as a child, but the more that time goes on, I find it to be barbaric, savage, emulating a war every year. Not to mention it's summer, everything's dry. Whatever they shoot up comes down and just lands on people's houses. I mean, everything about it is just pretty stupid. Very unlikely that they were celebrating this way in 1866, but that is what we're told. And the result was burning down the city again. One of the many fires. The difference is we have photographs of this one. Now, I think this will all be BS. This will be the beginning. The first cameras roll in. All this wiki backstory is a joke, and this is what the city looks like. Now, a lot will be cropped out, as we often see in these old photos, helping to depict whatever they want to, but yet a lot is here. 1866. So this looks like absolute wasteland, sitting in this condition for at least 50 years. As always, why the trees? Why the trees? This, to me, tells me that it's not too long ago that this reset happened here. Why these trees are still standing. 1866, look at these buildings. Look at the layering of brick over and over. Hundreds of years of stages of construction can be seen in these 1866 pictures. Very, very impressive quality. Here we see a 4-story brick building shell standing. Absolute mud roads. Heavy flooding. And here, look at the city. The federal government shipped 1,500 tents to the city. There we go. So here we see a little tent city in the fire zone, perhaps. A lot of the structures still standing. And here in present times, we can see what is still standing from the old world. All original. Right from the get-go. Kicking the natives out and moving in. Portland, Maine. So here we can see their city hall. This may have been demolished, I'm not sure. And here in this photo we can also see it to the left, if I'm correct. It looks like this building. And look at this row of buildings. Cathedral, City Hall. I mean, this looks like a World's Fair grounds. And here we see a couple guys. Very young trees. Very, very young. Maybe 5 years old, maybe 10. Showing that somebody is moving in. Somebody is starting to take care of the grounds. And here in 1866, we can see the burn burnt district looking northeast from Exchange Street. So this really reminds me of San Francisco. I mean, look at this city and the sophistication, the layout, and even the shells of the building show how impressive they were. And here somebody has pitched some tents. I mean, this is realistic. This is what these kind of people are all about. And they tried to flip the script and say that the Native Americans were the tent people. And yet they kick the natives out of this place. It's difficult to say. I go back and forth. I question whether the natives would have occupied these buildings. I think if they were in good shape, they would have. And if the city looked like this, they may not have. Either way, I think these cities are even older than the Native Americans. And the Native Americans may have had a part, or at least their ancestors, in these cities. By the time the Westerners arrive, I think there was a reset. I think there was a reset beyond the abilities of man. Not fires, not wars, some great realm-wide cataclysm. All these cities have the same MO. And again, the trees tell me that it wasn't that long ago, before these photographs were taken. Something that cooked all these cities out and created conditions to repopulate and begin a new system, a new order. Here again, ruins. Ruins! I mean, piles and mountains of bricks. And look at the condition here. Look at the superior building quality for this wall to be standing. It's several feet thick. All of this is an industry. So much building material. So beyond a fire. Can I stress that no fire could ever do this? Ever? This would require tsunamis filled with boulders. I don't know. Anything but a fire. This is unbelievable. Here we see the Canal Bank building. These are great pictures. So we see a big tree. This tree actually looks good. And this tree is a 100-year-old tree. Look at this building. Already having been repurposed. This building is hundreds of years old in this photo in 1866. This building once was a standalone building with windows on the side. They were blocked up. Another building was built right up to its side, and now it has crumbled, revealing a much older time, a much older plan. Here we can see that the streets are absolute mud, but you can see brick here and a sidewalk, like a concrete paver, or these may be railroad tracks or trolley car tracks. We can see 2 track lines and then a brick buffer on either side. Now completely washed over, but still some revealed. And look at these ruins. Look at these industrial factory smokestack ruins. And a street, a beautiful tree-lined street with windowless buildings. Still holding up pretty well. The windows totally cooked out long ago, which tells me there was a lot of heat along with water. Portland, Maine. So I hope you can see my point. Again, I encourage you to check out Jared Booster's video. I just wanted to add my take and my thoughts on this city as well. Do you think this is the result of a fire started on Independence Day, July 4th, 1866? Oops, a stray firework. And if that was true, do you really think we would celebrate every year in this same fashion, risking burning down half of our cities? I'll try to link these photos for you below. You can see it's the Digital Commons portlandlibrary.com. Great showcase. And I had planned on focusing more on the narrative until I realized how stupid it was and lengthy. I think these pictures speak volumes. I think these pictures refute the lengthy BS we're given. This is damn near ancient looking in super North America. Portland, Maine. Let me show it on a map real quick. Way up in the northeast east the United States. And again, we have to remember that partial truths are left in the narrative. And we have natives, and we also have France, and New France being kicked out of here before this. But in any case, it's no different than what we see anywhere throughout the realm. This is the handiwork of a past people, not these people. These people are semi-clueless new arrivals. And these are the ruins of an advanced civilization. And this is our beginning. And we're told 200 years of history before this, but I think nothing could be more false. These photos absolutely speak for themselves. This is old America, just as glorious as any part of this world. And it was almost erased. Even at our earliest stages, this place was in ruins, but showing signs of a very advanced time. And I've made these same types of videos everywhere. This city is one of the most advanced and clear examples of what I discuss week after week, year after year. And like I started the video out with, this is just one example of how we have been lied to. If you can understand that we've been infiltrated in our history, sciences, medicine, and ultimately system of control, it starts with our history. And you can understand why things are collapsing. And what are we doing? What are we doing with the trillions of dollars? We continue to turn cities into rubble. Now we fly jets overseas and fund other nations to render their neighbors into this condition. I think we are ruled by psychopaths, and maybe we always have been. And why shouldn't it be? If you place your life in the hands of another, why should you expect them to do what's best for you? I think I say it over and over, but I've modeled my life after the traditions of the Native Americans. Now I'm not sure about their history, just like I'm not sure about ours. But I do know that their wisdom has always resonated with me. And I also think the wisdom of many writings over 150 years ago is also relevant and overlooked, the way this architecture is. The great writers, all through history, were beyond the thinking minds of these horse and wagon people, I believe. I believe along with the architecture and ruins that we can see preserved, we also have the music and the literature left behind that I think is of the same thinking minds and people that actually did build these cities. And just like the architecture, these arts have been claimed as our own. So enough of me this week. I thank you for joining me. I love you all. God bless, and I'll see you next week.